have a love-hate relationship with the kitchen. On the one hand, it's the one room in the house where all the food is kept, and I love food. It's where cookies are swiped and where you go for your 3 a.m. kimchi run. It's also where the magical refrigerators that restock food automatically are kept. The possibilities in the kitchen truly are endless. On the other hand, when you hang out in the kitchen that often, you're sometimes expected to do this thing called cooking? Cooking? Yeah, okay, I got that right. My cooking history is definitely an interesting one. Over my years, I've developed a bit of a reputation of being a wild card in the kitchen, concocting both fancy gourmet dinners and inedible monstrosities. Never anything in between, never. Looking back on it, I think the very first time I ever tried to cook anything was when I was 7 years old. One of my favorite movies growing up was I was rewatching it one day when I really started to pay attention to what they were actually cooking. That's literally just a bunch of stacked salami. I could totally make something like that. Mistake numero uno. I didn't even know what food this was. These are slices of tomato, not salami. Great start, me. And so, along with the help of my sous chef baby sister, proceeded to stack all the deli meat and cold cuts we had in the fridge into what we thought was the gourmet dish of the century. What are you girls doing? My mom saw that I actually wanted to give cooking a shot, so she printed out a recipe, gathered and chopped all the ingredients, and showed me how to read the recipe. But at this point, I wanted to do the rest on my own, because I was a big girl. Literally all I had to do was put the ingredients in the pan and stir it for like 10 minutes. That's literally all I had to do. And so a couple minutes pass, and my mom comes back in to check on me. Honey, it smells like something's burning. Yeah, it's weird. I think I added too much pepper. Honey, the recipe doesn't call for pepper. Yeah, I didn't add any pepper. That's why I think it's kind of weird. We proceeded to look around the stove for the source of the burning, and eventually my mom lifted up the pan. Lo and behold, it was my dad's credit card. What? To this day, we still have no clue how that card got stuck to the bottom of a wok pan. And this instance was only the beginning of many bad cooking experiences I've had. Skip forward 4 years to when I was around 11. My mom's birthday was coming up, and I wanted to make her one of her favorite desserts, brownies. Something that I should mention is that I was at that age where I was developing my speed reading skills. Growing up with a love for stories and the library's summer reading challenges to motivate me, I was at a place where I could read a novel in a day, fall asleep listening to an audiobook, and pick up a new series in the morning. I was a pretty speedy reader. Oh, and please don't ask me what I enjoy reading in the comments. I'm an adult now, and therefore I only read picture books. What I'm trying to get at is that when I was handed this brownie recipe, my brain was still in hyperactive need for speed read mode. Yeah, and it turns out, that you really shouldn't speed read a recipe. I ended up confusing the water measurements with the oil measurements, and thus my latest creation came to fruition. Brownie soup. No one ate it except for me, but because hey, chocolate's still chocolate. Oh boy, we gotta speed this up a little bit. Speed run! We have the time I added 2 cups of chicken stock powder to a soup, the time I tried to make pizza and it totally fell through the oven grates, the time we tried to make homemade noodles and they were literally just mush, the time I couldn't bring myself to chop up mushrooms because I thought they were just too cute, the countless times I've mixed up teaspoons and tablespoons, and of course, the time we tried to make marshmallows. I was 14, and by this point my sister had developed a love for baking, and I had developed a history of not reading the recipe properly. My sister reluctantly let me help anyways. She handed me the recipe, telling me to read it very, very carefully. Psh, come on, I got this, you can trust me. I read the recipe wrong, and trust has not been forthcoming ever since. Somehow, instead of creating fluffy white pillows of sugary goodness, the marshmallows turned into a solid sheet of clear syrup. I genuinely have no clue where I could have messed this up. Oh, yeah. I skipped a whole paragraph. Can you guys see a pattern developing here? As I've gotten older, I've had fewer and fewer disasters in the kitchen, but I'm still scared to cook because of my ever-persistent habit of skipping over important information. I'm blaming this one on my dad. My mom and sister have always done the cooking by the book. However, I seem to have inherited my dad's nonchalance about those nuances, such as measurements and ingredients. Our motto is, recipes are for the weak. We do not have any actual evidence that that motto is any good, however, because when it's our turn to cook, it normally plays out like this. How much chili pepper does the recipe call for? Doesn't matter, just eyeball it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, we got calamari and french fries in the freezer. Which one should we add? Both. It says we have to let it cook for about 20 minutes at 400 degrees. Or we could do it for 2 minutes at 4,000 degrees. Oh shoot, you're right! The results are usually interesting to say the least, but there are a few times when a concoction will turn out great. Oh wow guys, this is actually pretty good. What recipe did you follow? We didn't have a recipe. No need for a recipe. Oh, well did you write down what you added? Nope. Nuh-uh. Well, if you didn't write it down, how are we supposed to recreate this later? It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Once in a lifetime. And that, my gamers, animators, and procrastinators, about wraps it up for my cooking experiences. The moral of the story is, recipes are for the weak! Unless you want to make something edible. And always check the bottom of your utensils for stray credit cards.